Sometimes as leaders, you have to make tough decisions that reflect your values and that will definitely impact your community. Wake up, leaders. This is Glen Guyton, your cultural futurist and keynote speaker, helping you to unlock the power of your people. You know what? It's time for our executive coffee break. Yes, I have my beverage in hand. I hope you have yours too. They say you can't choose your family, but you can choose your workplace culture and your beverage. My goal is to equip you with effective strategies to foster a culture of innovation, reduce workplace stress, and elevate team performance. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Now, many times as the leader of an organization, you have to make decisions that not only impact you, but also impact the community. And look, since we are talking about coffee, this is our executive coffee break. I do want to read something from Starbucks. Starbucks says, our mission to be the premier purveyor of the finest coffee in the world, inspiring and nurturing the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Now, that's a pretty profound statement. Now, if you all remember, back in 2018, Starbucks had a little kerfluffle, right? They had a kerfluffle where some African-American guys went into a Starbucks, wanted to use the bathroom, and somehow the police got called. There was a lot of stuff going on. Don't know all of the details or all of the backgrounds, but there was some challenging things that happened with these people that apparently were or allegedly going to use the bathroom. So Starbucks came out with a policy, right? That you can just come in, you can use the bathroom, you can hang out and sit around. And you know, Starbucks is the third place, or at least it was. I used to work at Starbucks, by the way. Starbucks was like a third place that you could hang out. And just recently I saw in the news where Starbucks is looking at that policy and saying, hey, maybe we need to change some things. Maybe people need to actually come in and do what? Buy coffee when they come to Starbucks. They can't just come in, hang out all day, and don't patronize the business. In other words, I'm picking up my phone again so I can look at their mission. In other words, it's important that this cup thing takes place and this coffee thing takes place, right? So what was going on when Starbucks made this decision? It was 2018, 2019, in the height of everything that was going on with George Floyd, defund the police. There was a lot of things going on in the world, right, where people were sensitive to race, particularly when it came to African-American men. And so Starbucks made a decision, right? Probably, in my opinion, they made the decision to, because of what was going on in time and space, what was going on in the environment. And that's perfectly normal. Many companies react. Now we're in a different place. 2025, hard to believe it's 2025. And, you know, there has been a change in the attitude toward diversity, equity, and inclusion. There are sayings out there where people say, you know, you go woke, you go broke. All kinds of stuff out there now. So Starbucks is changing. This is what I would say as a leader. When you make decisions, sometimes you have to make tough decisions as a leader. When you make decisions, make sure whatever decision that you make aligns with your values. The decisions that you make as a corporation, as a leader of an organization, your decisions need to align with the values and the mission of the organization. It is not surprising to me at all that Starbucks doesn't want you just hanging out all day and not spending money. They are a for-profit business. Now, are they also part of the community? Yes. So there's a balancing act that has to happen when we think about our corporate mission, when we think about the benevolence that we have for our communities. But all in all, we as organization leaders, we have a mission that we are supposed to follow. We have core values that our organization that our company espouses, and the decisions that we make need to align with that mission and the values. We can't just react. Well, you can, but then these things turn out poorly. And then you have to reverse the decision. So now you have people in the community saying, did you really care about us? Did you really care about us? Were you really concerned about the community? What's changed? Why are you going back on this decision? And so if we don't have a solid foundation, a solid footing for making decisions, we look bad. We look like we really don't care. And a lot of that things, companies have changed, right? As you see, we have a new political leader in office, and a lot of companies are changing their values, supposedly, right? They're changing how they are speaking in public. They're changing the decisions that they're making. Now, again, we do have to respond to outside pressures, but I do think it's important. And I think for the long term, it's important for the decisions that we make to align with our values. Now, are there times where you have to reevaluate your values? Yes, of course. The world changes, things evolve, and sometimes the things that we thought were important 20, 30 years ago are no longer important in 2025. And so we have to reevaluate who we are as an organization, but we need to be consistent. That's the only way that we can build trust. That's the only way that we can develop long-term relationships. If we are in corporate organization with our customers, if we are a leader with our people, the people that follow us in the organization, so the people that we supervise, we need to stay consistent to our values. We have personal values, we have organizational values, and they should all inform how we make decisions. So what do we do now that things are changing? We have a different landscape, and we hear things such as, you go woke, you go broke. Diversity in some sense has become a dirty word. People don't like DE&I. People are rolling that back. I would question the organizations that are rolling those things back. What's changed? I would ask them, what's changed? Especially if I was an employee. So are these things no longer important? Did we get it wrong? What is the difference? Now, I don't believe in a go woke, go broke strategy. I do think some organizations do inclusion really well. Some don't. Many organizations realize the value of diversity, and they're going to change some of their terminology because they have to. They have to change their terminology. They're going to use different words, but they will still have the same values. They will still have policies that facilitate them getting the skilled workers that they need. These things aren't new. If you go back to the 1900s, y'all remember the 1900s? I know it's 2000 and something, right? It's 2025. The 1900s seemed like it was such a long time ago, but I was born in the 1900s. So y'all remember the 1900s? I'm a kid of the 80s, so Gen X, proud Gen X. But you think about companies in the past. Ford Motor Company is a company that has been looking at how do we get the best workers. They had competitive wages back in 1914. Sears and Roebuck, IBM. IBM is one of the companies that pioneered employee resource groups in response to things that were going on in the community that was disrupting their workforce. Kellogg Company, back in the 1930s, advocated for shorter work days and creating more opportunities during the Great Depression. General Electric, Lockheed Martin, all of these are companies that realized that we needed to change how we operate. We need to expand some of the opportunities for people of different demographic groups in order for us to be competitive, to draw in the right resources, the right people. And they did this back in the early 1900s. But now, words change. People are talking about woke in a negative sense. Again, even the term woke has its origins back in probably in the 40s. It was used primarily by Black people as part of what they would call, I guess, African American vernacular. That wasn't even a thing back in the 40s, but back in the 40s. So terms change, words change, but you know what shouldn't change? Your values. That is what grounds you. What are the values of your organization? And can you point to the values that you base your decisions on? That's what I want you to do. If you're going to make a decision, hey, we're going to just let people come in, Starbucks or whatever your organization is, we're going to let them sit here all day and not purchase anything. You should be able to articulate clearly, hey, this is the value that this reinforces. This is why we're doing this. Again, sometimes things change, situations change. But I do believe in transparency and leadership. I believe that we need to be honest with people, our employees, our staff, our customers, to let them know why we're making these decisions. Sometimes organizations, corporations especially, treat us like we are dumb, like we don't have a mind, like we don't have social media, Reddit, and all these other tools to do research and investigate. Now, sometimes it's wrong, right? Sometimes it's wrong. But we have information at our fingertips now. So if you are a leader of an organization, corporation, leading a team, just be honest, just be transparent, and make sure if you're going to change a policy, if you're changing procedures, let those changes be rooted and grounded in the mission and values of the organization. And from time to time, you need to get your stakeholders together and say, are these still the things that we believe in? If not, what are our new values? What needs to change? Why are we changing our values? These aren't things that you should take lightly, especially when the decisions that you make have a significant impact on the community that you serve. Now, I don't know what's going to happen now that Starbucks is changing its policy. Maybe they'll be more profitable. Will it lead to misunderstanding? I don't know. Sometimes we just need to apply common sense to situations. Do we need an entire change in our corporate policy because two people had a bad experience in our restaurant? Or do we just need to train the people in that restaurant better? Do we just need to train the rest of our employees better so that they can better live into the values that we have in an organization? Or do we just need a blanket policy without the deep understanding and the connection to our mission and values? Something to think about, right? Something to think about. We always have a lot of pressure as leaders, and we have so many people vying for our attention, so many people demanding that we pay attention to their special needs, and that's okay, right? We live and work with people. Like my saying says, hey, unlock the power of your people. I do believe that we should be people first, pretty much no matter what business we're in. And so we always want to consider the needs of our clients and the people that help us to make a profit, right? Our workers, we have to be mindful of them. But how do we create a culture where we can be responsive to the internal and external forces that come at us, but also live into our vision and mission as an organization? Maybe your goal is just to make money, and everyone else, you don't care about who we lose and leave along the wayside. But eventually we're going to run out of customers and clients if we don't treat them well. I know people in certain industries are really impacted by politics. I'm impacted by politics. I've had to adapt some of my practices, some of the things that I train on, so that I can continue to work with certain clients. But have I compromised my values? No, my values are the same. Sometimes you need to update language. Sometimes you need to tweak things. Words change. The meaning of words change. Again, like the word woke meant one thing back in the 40s. 2025, we have everybody using it, and that word is taking on a different connotation here in 2024. So you have to get up with the times. The 1900s are gone, and we need to lead in ways that are relevant for 2025 and beyond. But as I close, let's not forget that better leaders get better results. So to every one of you leading the charge for a more supportive and engaging workplace, I leave you with this: stay bold, stay inspired, and remember that your actions today shape the culture of tomorrow. My name is Glen Guyton. You all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful